Hello and welcome. Today it is time for the October repurchase review. I mean, October really flew by. We had so many things packed into the month that it kind of felt really long, but it ended up going very quickly. So if you're new here, what this is I go through everything that I featured on my channel this month and whether I'd buy it again and any updated thoughts and so forth. And then we have a top 5, which is actually a top 8 this month at the end. So let's go ahead and we're gonna get started. We are starting off actually with Dior Holiday. So I still haven't gotten around to trying the sequin lip duos, so I do need to do those. Those will be up in November. But for Dior Holiday, I did pick up some items here. So this is Plum Parade. I think it's a very pretty color story. It's just an okay quality in terms of the formula, in my opinion. It's a little on the dry side, and I just don't really think it's truly worth this one. You can see, I mean, you can even tell just in the swatches how kind of dry it is. And yeah, I don't love it. So I think personally, this is a pass for me. We also have the gold Dior Forever highlighter from the holiday, and this one is in shade Dior Star. And I think this is okay. So this is a nice highlighter. No regrets purchasing this. Would I purchase it again? Probably not, because there's nothing really unique or special to it. But I do think it's a nice highlighter. If you love the packaging, then that might be a draw for it. But I did really enjoy the lipsticks here from the collection that I picked up. So I have the shade Circus, which is kind of this nice kind of peachy nude with a little bit of rose in here. It's a little warmer than I'd like, but I think it's a really nice shade, particularly when you top it with the shade number 10, the Crystal Sparkle, which is, just a sparkly shade here, but you can see it's got a little bit of iridescence to it. So then when you put it on top of Circus, it just makes a really nice shade there. So I really like the lip products in this case, but overall the Dior collection was just it's not a love. So I'd totally be okay passing on the entire Dior Holiday collection. Although, again, I haven't tried the Sparkle Lip Duos yet, but I will be doing those soon. One of the holiday collections I really have been enjoying a lot would be the Chantecaille. So I actually have 2 videos on this in this month because first they sent me some items in PR and then I really liked them. So I ended up purchasing the rest of the collection here. So we've got the liquid eyeshadows, which stay put super well. This is the Baron Glacé. Yep. And they are shimmery, they're thin, they don't crease or anything. This shade here is Tulle. And then we have a third shade as well. This is the shade Cremant. And yeah, I really like all 3 of these shades. You can use them as a base. You can use them, on their own. I really like the formula. So I'd love to see this in permanent line. Along with this, we also have a Radiant Blush. And this one here is the Cheek Light, which can be used as a blush. It's light enough or dark enough to be used as a blush for fair skin. You can see it's going to be a peachy iridescent shade. And then we have the actual Radiant Blush, which is going to be a more pink shade here. Let's put that one right next to it. You can see there is some warmth to both of these. So I've been wearing these a lot, really enjoy them. And then we also have another one of the holiday lipsticks, or another one of the lip creme lipsticks in the shade Barbary. And here's Barbary. So let's go ahead and we'll put this one right here. You can see it's kind of like a burgundy red, but it has a little bit of a cooler burgundy in it. Yet it's not a super cool shade. I'm waiting for this to there we go. So you can see this is the entire Chantecaille collection. I'm really happy with all of these pieces. My favorite items from this would be the liquid eyeshadows personally, but I would not hesitate to purchase all of these again. Definitely would love to get these on sale though. So keep an eye on those sales as we're coming up to Black Friday and so forth. And I actually missed the first item on my list, which was the Givenchy Holiday palette. So this is number 916. And I really like this palette. I do have it compared to the 912, which is one of my go-to kind of neutral palettes from Givenchy. So I have those compared in the video for this. I've got a bunch of comparisons in there, but overall, this is a great palette. I don't really love I think the gold tones are actually really useful in this palette, but I tend not to really use them too much. Overall, I think it's a great neutral palette. Really love it. Love the browns in here. And, you know, we've got some cooler tones and some warmer tones. We've got neutral tones. I love the different textures and finishes. So it's definitely a really great palette. Along with that, you know, we also took a look at the Hermes lipsticks. So the rose mauve shade I already had. So that's actually from a previous month. That's the satin formula. And then in their sheer matte formula, their matte léger, I picked up both of those shades, and this one here is 24 Rose A Pure, which is on my lips right now. And you can see that this is a soft rose. There's a little bit of peach in here, but really it's just more of a dusty rose. It's neutral. I wouldn't say, you know, it's cool or warm. If I had to go, it's a little cooler than it is warm, but it's really, you know, neutral on the spectrum. And then my favorite of the two is 69 Rose Premier, which is a really beautiful kind of berry shade here. So this one is stunning. And I love this formula because you can get a really light, soft shade and you can kind of blur that out and just get kind of a tint, or you can build it up. And, you know, if you go over that a lot, you get something much more pigmented. And these also give you that lip blurring effect. So I think these are great. Hermes, really, I think all of the holiday lipsticks were fantastic. I did pass on the eyeshadow palette because their formula is not my favorite, but I think overall the collection itself looks stunning. You know, I really like the color story from that one. But these lipsticks, love them. Next, I have the SUQQU Winter collection, and I love this. So we have S03. This is going to be a permanent color palette in the UK. There were 3 different palettes that came out here. And I'm actually wearing these 2 matte shades on my eyes right now. But it is just a stunning palette. Let's go ahead and we'll just swatch this one real quickly. So you can see we kind of have these cooler tone taupes and browns. You know, we have kind of a gray and some deeper browns here. Kind of get into that taupey atmosphere when you kind of mix them. And then this blue shimmer. I love the fact that we've got all these nice smooth mattes that are really easy to use and blend out. And I think they're just a really nice finish on the eyes. You know, I'm just disappointed with how hard it is to actually get the SUQQU items right now with all the additional fees and everything that we're experiencing here in the US. So it does make it a little bit harder. But I absolutely love this. So this was definitely a collection I wanted to get. They did gift this one to me. So this one here is the blush in 113. This was the reason that if I wasn't gifted this, I would be purchasing this collection. It's just stunning. So this is the pink and the blue kind of mixed together. It's absolutely gorgeous. And of course we had a really nice lipstick with this as well. So overall, I would pick all of these up again. For me, the winter collection here was special enough that I would pay the tariffs for it. The holiday collection, you know, I think they're gorgeous, but they are historically very hard to get even when shipping's not really an issue. So I do plan on passing on that, unfortunately. But yeah, you know, for me, purchasing with the tariffs, it's more something like if it's something I really, really want, you got to calculate that cost into it and see whether you still want it at that price point. For this SUQQU collection, that is something that would make that cut for me. But I have to admit, you know, there are not going to be too many collections that do. There are so many great options already available here for a lesser cost after adding those in. So. But for those of you who are not in the US or Canada, you know, it might be easier to access this collection or the holiday collections. And, you know, I think they are definitely very well worth it then. And then we went over Chanel Holiday again. So we revisited the collection. I went over all the 9 pans. It was a pretty extensive video with all the eye swatches and everything. And yeah, overall, I'm very happy with the Chanel Holiday collection. I think it's a very nice collection. The 9 pans are fun to play with. Are they something that, you know, I think are a must-have? Not really. You know, we've seen all these shades before. They are reminiscent sort of Pat McGrath palettes. The formulas on these are nice. This one here, by the way, is the new Singular. And I really like them. I enjoy having them. I think they're great for travel. And yeah, so I think overall it's a very nice collection, and they did a really nice job this year of kind of catering to a wide audience. So we've got kind of something for everyone. But after focusing on the 9 pans, my favorite item from Chanel Holiday is still the Nuit Austral. So this one here, you know, I covered this during September, but this is still my favorite item from the collection, followed by the new Singular and the Space Traveler palettes. Those are also ones that I really enjoy. But if I had to pick one thing from Chanel, it would still be this quad personally. I think it's a really great quad. At the end of that Chanel part 2 video, I did go over the whole collection again and, you know, kind of what my thoughts are on everything after an extended period of time. So definitely check that out if you missed that. But as for the 9 pans, which we focus on here, my 2 favorites are the new Singular and the Space Traveler. I think they're both very nice. No regrets purchasing them. But if they're also not my highest priority in this case. Then we had Guerlain Holiday, and this was gifted to me. So the quad itself, you know, nothing wrong with the formulas. It's a very warm quad. You know, it's not one that I would have purchased myself because it is warmer than I typically go for. However, that being said, I think it's a very nice warm toned color story, which will work well for a lot of people. And the formula on this is nice. So packaging, you know, it's holiday packaging, but I wouldn't say it's anything particularly, you know, super special or anything. It's okay. And as for the lipstick, I have the nude shade here, and it looks like it says 306. This is a really nice peachy nude here. You know what? Let me put the Dior with this again. So this is the Dior 210 in Circus. You can see that the shades are kind of similar. And then let's also take a look at the Chanel. This is the Chanel Holiday Lipstick 548 Abstrait, which I believe is very, very similar to the Abstrait in the Permanent Collection. You can see how we kind of have a very similar tone with all of these, with the Guerlain being the warmest, the Dior being the most neutral, and it's actually a warmer pink for the Chanel. And I did want to mention, you know, when I was talking about the Chanel Holiday Collection, aside from the eyeshadow palette, some of my favorites there were the liquid lipsticks from Chanel. Those were awesome. And then the other item from the Guerlain Holiday collection that I have is the highlighter. And to say, this was the item I was super excited for because it's a beautiful kind of like ombre shade. Oh, I guess I got something on my finger there. But it is going to be a little bit of a messy glitter. It's kind of loose. I really like it on the eyes. Again, you'd have to be very careful wearing this on the eyes though because of kind of that loose glitter aspect. It's a little bit too glittery for me to wear on my face, but I do think it's a gorgeous color. So yeah, this was the item that I was really interested in from the Guerlain Holiday collection. And overall, because it's kind of like loose and powdery, it ends up being an okay product for me, but color wise, it's fantastic. So overall, I like it. I'd probably purchase this again though. Again, this one was gifted though, but I would probably purchase this one on my own just because it is such a pretty shade. Then we took a look at the Byredo Ocean Haze palette, which, you know, I didn't think I was going to like. And so I wasn't going to purchase it originally. And then when it came out here in the US, my arm's still a little wet here, so I'm going to use my hand. I don't know, something about when I was looking at it, it just made me change my mind. So I'm really glad I did change my mind though, because I think it is just a stunning palette and I love kind of mixing these shades together. So I really like this palette. It's different from what I usually pick up. And, you know, I think it's nice to kind of step out of your comfort zone a bit. And it's very versatile. You know, you can go with the warmer shades, the cooler shades, you can mix and match. You've got a lot of accent shades here. You can use the deeper shades as a liner with just like one of these lighter shades. You know, it's just, there's a wide variety of ways you can use this palette. I think the formulas on this are very nice. But What I absolutely love is the Sandance lipstick here. So this one here is Sandance. This is a kind of a nude rose with a little bit of peach in it. So this, let me go ahead and put the other lipsticks there again, but it is going to be a little, it's different from the others. Okay, so this is the Byredo Sandance. Here's the Dior and Circus. You can see a difference in the shade there. This is going to be peachier in the Dior. The Chanel Abstrait here, you can see, is also going to be warmer. It's pinker, but it's like a warm pink, more salmon pink. And then the Guerlain in 306, let's go ahead and put that here. You can see it is peachier, but it's like more of that orangey peach, not like, you know, it's got a little bit more of that orangey tone. So hopefully that's helpful here. So Sandance is going to be more of a nude shade, a rosy nude, touch of peach in it, but it is gorgeous. It's more of a neutral shade overall, tonally. So we've got Byredo, Dior, Chanel, and Guerlain. As for the Byredo, I would definitely purchase both of those items. Again, as a matter of fact, I do want to pick up a backup of the Sandance, but I am waiting just like a month or two to, you know, make sure everybody else has had a chance. But if it's still available in a little while, I'll definitely be picking up a backup of this because it's like the perfect shade to just like keep in my bag and, you know, put on with any look. So I absolutely love it. It's such a go-to for me. Then we took a look at the Jones Road, the Bobby Kit 5.0. And I love when they come out with these sets because it's a great way to kind of try some of their new products. And it's a great way for them to kind of test out the feedback on their products. So the item I was most excited for was the eyeshadow stick because I love the Bobbi Brown eyeshadow sticks. And this one here, I had really high hopes for. It's creamy to go on. It's really easy to use. Unfortunately, this doesn't truly set down. It's too emollient for me. It ends up creasing too much. So I'm not a fan of the eyeshadow stick. Unfortunately, I really had high hopes for it. We also had a few other products. So we had a Miracle Balm in the shade Chic, which is nice. You know, Miracle Balms, they're hit or miss. I use the more pigmented ones as blush sometimes, but you know, these lighter ones, I tend not to really use too much. And then the other item I was super looking forward to was the Illuminator. And this is in the shade Baby Pink. This is a cream highlighter. And I thought this was a nice product. So if you like a cream highlighter, it's pretty much just like all of the others, but this is going to be a nice kind of neutral pink champagne. There is a little bit of warmth to it, but it's pretty neutral. And yeah, like most cream highlighters, it's not going to 100% set and stay put, but it's not going to move on its own. Like if you touch it, there will be some movement, but if you just kind of put it on and leave it, it has enough grip that it's not sliding down your face or anything like that. So overall, I think this one was nice. And you know, we had a few other products in there as well, but those were kind of the standouts to me. So would I buy the kit was gifted to me, but would I have bought it on my own? I would have bought it on my own initially after trying it, because for me the big lure was the eyeshadow stick, to be honest. So because that was kind of a bomb, I'd probably pass on the whole set for me personally. But if Jones Road is a new brand to you and you just kind of want to try out a bunch of their formulas, this is a great set to do that with. My personal favorite Jones Road products are typically their powder products, which they don't seem to make as many of, but they have awesome eyeshadows. I love their eyeshadows. Their matte eyeshadows are great. The shimmers are great. And yeah, so I really love their powder ones, but the creamier products that seem to be really popular, they're really hit or miss. And then we took a look at Tom Ford, and there have been so many new products from Tom Ford recently. So this blush, this is the Alpine blush. And I do have comparisons in my video, but I have this on today. I really love it. This is one I've been using a ton since I tried this. I think it is a great blush. I'm really happy with it. Of course, I had to get more of the fabulous lipsticks. And yes, with the Sephora sale, I did say I was tempted to purchase the last 3 shades. I did. So we already know I absolutely love the Tom Ford Fabulous lipsticks. I've been talking about them since they launched. Not only do I love the packaging, I love the formula, which is unique. Very long wearing. We've got some great colors. I have had some questions whether I'll be purchasing the new Luxe Tom Ford lipsticks in the gold packaging. I don't know. You know, I was not expecting them to be as expensive as they are. The case, you know, at Selfridges is like $140 just for the case alone. So I may or may not pick up 1 or 2. I'm not sure exactly what the refill lip color prices are. So kind of have to see how all of that goes together. But it looks like there are some really pretty shades. So I might. I don't know. We also took a look at the new Tom Ford eyeliners, and they've got some new shades. I personally really like the gel eyeliner formula. Is it significantly better than like the Valentino and so forth? No, I don't think so. Actually, the Valentino I still love more personally than the Tom Ford, but I really love these new shades. Very happy with them. I think the violet is a great like neutral purple to, you know, just kind of change up a look. And we've got some nice bright blues. So this is the turquoise. We have a cobalt blue. You know, if you want a brighter cobalt, this one's a little bit more muted. If you want a brighter one, look at like Hung Van Gogh or even the Givenchy one, which is hard to find here in the US now. I know it's a little more easily available in other countries. It's a little bit brighter as well. Very similar shade to this. But we've got some great shades. No regrets on any of those items from Tom Ford. And then I also picked up the Daydream Quad, which has sold out right now on the Tom Ford website. I don't know if it's coming to any other retailers in the US, but hopefully it will. I think it's a really beautiful palette. I do not have the original one to compare it to, but really like this one. And I do have some comparison swatches of this and the Chanel palette on the community tab. So if you're not sure where to find that, go to my homepage, just click on my little picture and then click on posts at the top, those little subheadings. And if you scroll down to, that's where I keep a lot of swatches that have been requested. So this I would definitely pick up again. I also picked up 2 of the 3 Soleil Neige lipsticks, which I really like these. So we have the shade, this one here, I believe it's Fireside. Yep. So this is Fireside. It is warmer than I was expecting. You can see it's kind of like a burgundy berry, but it's a little bit more of that warmer, like brick burgundy versus like a cooler tone. And then we have the shade, it's so hard to read these, Peak Glamour, which I think is a really nice shade here. Between the two, I think Peak Glamour is actually my favorite. Fireside is actually more sheer, a little bit less opaque. But if I had to decide between the Soleil Neige lipsticks or the Fabulous, I would definitely go Fabulous. And then we also took a look at the Gucci Skin Tint. I have shade Fair 15, which is described as your Fair Cool. And then Fair Warm is shade 11. So I picked this one up because I have cooler undertones versus warmer. I'm neutral with actually cool overtones. But I think either they have the names reversed or what, but I think the 11 is probably lighter and cooler based on the photos. So this shade's a little bit dark for me. I really like the skin tint though. I can definitely still use it, but it's a nice formula. It has a bit more coverage. And yeah, I think it's a really nice product. So this I do like. I would pick this up again, but for me, I would try shade 11 next time. And then we also took a look at the Merit Maxwell lipstick, which I've been wearing a lot. So I actually had this, you know, when it was delivered, it was when I was pulling into my driveway and the guy walked up to me in my car. And so I just put it on right then, threw it in my handbag, and then sort of forgot to take it out and film with it right away because I just kept reaching for it. So this, I absolutely love this. Unfortunately, it has sold out. I don't know if they plan on bringing it back at all, but it's a really beautiful shade. We also took a look at the Kosas blushes. So I picked up the Holiday Trio and I already have one of the shades, so I stuck that aside for like a giveaway. And then we've got these 2 here. Dare is my favorite. I Really love this. I think it's a great set, great way to try their blushes, and I really like the formula. Although it is a clean beauty formula, my originals in this, no issues, no change in texture, smell, or anything like that, and I'm well past the expiration date. So, you know, I think overall that they last really well. And then I also have the Tower 28 eyeshadow sticks, which, you know, they do recommend keeping these little plastic things on there. But these are a cooling eyeshadow stick. They're not pepperminty. It's more cooling from the evaporation. This one here is the shade Whiskey. These were gifted to me, but I actually had these sitting in my cart for the Sephora sale. So I was definitely going to pick them up. These were the only 3 shades that I'm truly interested in. So I'm not picking up any more at this time, but if they do release more colors, I will. I love the shimmeriness of these. They are very light and thin formula-wise. It's, you know, not gritty at all. I did get a request to see what it looked like compared to the Danessa Myricks. So this one here is going to be the stick in 6. So let's go ahead. We'll take a look at this. So this one here is shade 6. You can see this one, this side is going to be more of a satin. And typically with the Danessa Myricks sticks, which I also absolutely love, these are going to have one side that is a very smooth satin and then one that is a more shimmery stick. Between this and the Tower 28, I do feel like with certain shades in the Danessa Myricks sticks, some of them are a little bit chunkier than the Tower 28, which are a little smoother overall. That's not true for all of them. This one here is actually one of the smoother ones. And again, this is 6 in shade Nova. But you can see that the shimmer on these is, it's just, the particles are perhaps a little bit larger. And some of the sticks do have more of that chunkier glitter effect to it. Like, for example, this one here, which is number 8, which is one of my personal favorites. This more like lavender shade here is going to be a chunkier glitter here. So it just kind of depends. They're both very thin and lightweight on the eyes. Say the Tower 28 feels a little bit thinner than the chunkier versions of some of the Danessa Myricks shades. But overall, they're kind of similar. Danessa Myricks doesn't really have as much of that evaporative texture to it, that feeling. I really personally love both of them. I feel like they both hold up really well, and it just kind of depends what you're going for. If you like kind of the chunkier, more glittery looks, I think Danessa Myricks is a little bit more sparkly overall. Obviously, the Tower 28 has tons of sparkle, but it's a bit more finely milled overall. And then, of course, since the Danessa Myricks has a satin shade in the sticks as well, you know, you can subdue it a little bit more as well. So as for the Tower 28 sticks, they were gifted, but these are ones that I would definitely buy myself. And if they come out with new shades that appeal to me, I would buy those myself as well. So I would definitely purchase these again. And then Rephr. So my brushes are in the wash right now. They're drying. So the Yosegi brush, I'm so sad that sold out before I had a chance to actually, it sold out while I was filming the video actually, but it sold out before I had a chance to buy any more of those, but I do hope it restocks. I have had no confirmation of that happening, not even like a hint that they have a plan of a restock. So it sounds like it's done, but I really love that brush. The Shoutout brushes are great for liquids and creams. The Shoutout number 5, I think, is fantastic. If you like the Alexandra Anel brush, you know, this is similar. It's a little bit of a wider brush, but it does have kind of a similar function. I think they're really great brushes to have in your collection. So especially when you can get the concept store pricing, I'd recommend them. So if you have been kind of on the fence, definitely check out the video with the Shoutout brushes. And yeah, between the two, the Shoutout 5 and the 6 is more of an eyeliner brush, but the 5 is my personal favorite. I think it's a really great product for liquids and creams. So if you have been looking for something that kind of fits that category, I would definitely consider it. I mean, you can use it for things like foundation, skin tints, blushes, cream bronzers, highlighters. You know, it's a versatile size. So yeah, I would definitely pick those up. And I do want to mention that I will be having a few more brush videos coming up. I was just sent the new SUQQU brushes, so I'll have those up very soon. And then I also received some Byredo brushes in PR. So I'm kind of going through all of those, testing them all out, knocking down lipsticks before I post on those, but those will be coming up. So if you've been waiting for some brush videos, I know some of you have, those will be coming up soon. Now let's go ahead and move on to my favorites, my top 5, which ended up really being a top 8 this month because I couldn't narrow it down further. So the Rephr definitely kind of belongs on this list. Since it's not available, I'm not counting it per se, but it's definitely in this list here. The Chantecaille liquid eyeshadows, this is definitely on my list. The shade Tool is probably the one that I use the most because it's this really beautiful champagne shade. And one of the things I like to do when I'm not wearing much makeup is I'll put this all over and use one of the colored eyeliners, like one of the new Tom Fords or a Valentino or whatever. I like a bright eyeliner with this. So this one's probably my most used for that reason, but I love all 3 of them. I had to include the Tom Ford Fabulous lipsticks again because they're just that great. I did have them in my last month video as well. And, you know, after I get the new shades, they'll probably be in November as well. That's how much I love these lipsticks. So this one here is shade F6 Berry, which is my favorite of the 3 new ones I picked up this month. I love them. So those are on my list. I also had to include the Tom Ford Alpine Blush, which, you know, I've been wearing a ton. Let's go ahead, we'll put that here. You can see it is a nice kind of peachy rose. It does have warmth. So, you know, if you're looking for a cooler tone shade, this is going to be leaning warm. So it's kind of like close to neutral on the spectrum, but it's in the warm category. And I think it's a really pretty peachy rose kind of shade. You can sheer it out. You can make it a bit more opaque, but I think it's a really beautiful blush and formula. I also had to include the Kosas blushes, particularly the shade Dare, which is my favorite. It's going to be more of a coral shade here. And you can see it's a pinky coral. And then I also included the Byredo Ocean Haze. I'm not going to swatch all of these again, along with the Sand Dance lipstick. We'll go ahead and put this one here. This is fantastic. I mean, I think I spoke quite a bit about this one, so that's definitely in there. I also included the SUQQU Winter collection, both the quad and the blush, but if I had to narrow down, it would be the blush in 113, which of course was really hard to get. So I'd love to see this permanently part of their collection, but absolutely stunning. And then also the Hermes lipstick. So the Rose Mauve I've talked about in the past. Out of the 2 new shades, you know, the Rose Pure is what's on my lips. I've been using it a lot because it's such a great like light shade. Let's put that with the Sand Dance. But you can see it's going to be kind of like a pink with a little bit of a nude in there, but it's kind of like a warm dusty rose with a touch of peachy nude. But the Premier is actually probably my favorite. These are the sheer matte, which I love. So the Premier is my favorite of the 2 new ones that I picked up, but absolutely love it. And I do want to give just one other shout out to the Rose Evergreen Styling Cream, which, you know, I just started using. I wanted to test it out before this for sale, and it really helps with like the flyaways, and I use it particularly for pulling my hair back, but it gives it that like smooth texture to it, you know, feels smooth, highly conditioned, but not greasy per se. But yeah, it's like awesome. I always have those stubborn baby hairs that like nothing unless I go with like a stiff gel really kind of smooth back. And this does a great job. So yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to that. And I just really love that product. So anyway, I hope this has been helpful. I'd love to know what your favorites were this month. Maybe, you know, share some things that also didn't work for you, so we can kind of gather everybody's opinions here in the comments, make shopping a little bit easier for everyone. So thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate your support, and I will see you very soon. So have a great day, and here's to a great November too.